The 1900s, a century marked by unparalleled economic growth, industrialization, and innovation. But amidst this progress, there existed an intriguing underbelly of financial history, one riddled with daring heists and ingenious capers that would make even the most seasoned Wall Street tycoon's heart race. This is The Money Trail, where we delve into the wildest bank robberies of the 1900s, revealing lessons that still resonate in today's financial landscape. Imagine strolling down a bustling city street, stepping into your local bank, only to find it transformed into a scene from a Hollywood thriller. This was the reality for countless Americans throughout the 20th century, as they fell victim to an audacious array of bank robberies. From coast to coast, no institution was safe from these financial predators, each hell-bent on making off with their share of the American dream. But why study these long-forgotten crimes? Isn't this just a frivolous dive into history's seedy side? Not quite. By examining these audacious heists and the ingenious methods employed by the robbers, we can better understand the vulnerabilities that once plagued our financial systems, and those that continue to haunt us today. Take, for example, the daring daylight robbery of $2.7 million from the United California Bank in 1972. Dubbed the biggest bank burglary in American histories at the time, this heist saw a group of thieves tunnel their way into the heart of the bank, evading detection for days as they cleaned out its vault. The fallout from this single crime would reverberate throughout the banking industry, prompting sweeping reforms and security enhancements that continue to protect our money today. So buckle up, dear listener, as we embark on a thrilling journey through the annals of financial history. Over the next several episodes, we'll explore the 10 wildest bank robberies of the 1900s, shedding light on the criminals who dared to defy the system and the lessons their exploits can teach us all. 1904, in the heart of the American West, a place where outlaws were almost as celebrated as lawmen. This is the story of the Dalton gang's daring train and bank robbery attempt that would end in a deadly shootout. The Dalton brothers, Grat, Bob, and Emmett, had already made names for themselves as formidable bank robbers, but they sought an even greater prize, the combined loot of both a train and a bank. Their target? The town of Adair, Oklahoma, home to the Kansas City Southern Railway and the Citizens State Bank. On July 14, 1904, under cover of darkness, the Daltons first derailed the fast mail train using a homemade device. As planned, this diverted the attention of law enforcement. Meanwhile, other gang members positioned themselves near the bank, ready to strike. However, things didn't go as smoothly at the bank. The safe proved too tough to crack, and they managed only to grab $2,500 from teller drawers before their time ran out. Back at the train wreck site, Grat Dalton decided to join his brothers, leaving behind 2 accomplices to deal with the delayed train. But word had gotten out about the robbery, and a posse was quickly assembled. In a twist of fate, as the Daltons sped away from Adair on their horses, they encountered this posse head-on. A fierce gunfight erupted, lasting over an hour. When the dust settled, 3 Dalton brothers lay dead, Grat, Bob, and Bill Power. Only Emmett survived to face justice. This botched robbery marked one of the bloodiest episodes in American bank robbing history. It served as a grim reminder of the dangers that came with such audacious crimes and led to sweeping reforms and security enhancements still seen today. Join us next time on The Money Trail, as we recount another thrilling tale from the wild world of 20th century bank heists. 1907, New York City, a time of rapid industrialization, opulence, and grandeur. Amidst this backdrop, the Knickerbocker Trust Company, one of the nation's most prestigious financial institutions, would fall victim to a heist that shook the city to its core. The mastermind behind this daring robbery was Gilbert A. Joseph, a seemingly ordinary man who orchestrated an extraordinary crime. Joseph and his team tunneled their way into the Knickerbocker Trust Company's vault, bypassing the supposedly impenetrable security measures in place. Once inside, they meticulously disarmed the safe deposit boxes, stealing bonds, cash, and other valuables estimated to be worth $7 million in today's money. The sheer scale of this theft made it one of the most significant bank heists in American history. The aftermath was chaos and confusion. As word spread of the robbery, panicked depositors rushed to withdraw their savings, fearing their life's earnings would vanish into thin air. The bank teetered on the brink of collapse, threatening to take down other financial institutions in its wake. Yet, even as the authorities scrambled to apprehend those responsible, Joseph and his accomplices seemed to have vanished without a trace. Months passed before they were finally captured, their cunning and audacity baffling investigators. This brazen heist exposed critical vulnerabilities within America's banking system, leading to significant reforms and security enhancements still seen today. It also served as a sobering reminder of the relentless pursuit of wealth, even at the expense of innocent lives. As we delve deeper into The Money Trail, prepare yourself for another riveting tale from the annals of 20th century bank robberies. Until then, keep your wits about you and remember, crime doesn't pay. 1924, a pivotal year in America's burgeoning struggle against organized crime. As we follow The Money Trail, our next stop brings us to Kansas City, Missouri, where an event known as the Union Station Massacre would leave 4 people dead and cement the notorious reputation of one man, Charles Prettyboys Floyd. Floyd, a charismatic bank robber with chiseled features reminiscent of a matinee idol, was hardly what you'd expect from a cold-blooded killer. But behind his boyish grin lurked a ruthless criminal who wouldn't hesitate to use violence to further his cause. On June 17, 1933, Floyd and his gang planned to intercept a mail train carrying $200,000 at the bustling Union Station. To ensure their success, they devised an ingenious yet chilling strategy: murder key law enforcement officials en route to meet the train. Among those targeted were Police Chief Otto Reed and Detective W.J. Bill Grooms. Both men were lured to a location under the guise of discussing security measures for the incoming shipment. There, they were ambushed and brutally gunned down in a hail of bullets, marking the beginning of what would become known as the Union Station Massacre. Unbeknownst to Floyd and his accomplices, however, one man had managed to escape their deadly trap: Frank Nash, the very person they'd intended to free from custody. Instead, his captors were now 3 FBI agents who unwittingly walked into the bloodbath unfolding at Union Station. In the ensuing chaos, all 4 law enforcement officers were tragically killed, becoming casualties in Floyd's relentless pursuit of wealth. Despite the carnage, Floyd and his gang failed to seize the money they sought, fleeing empty-handed as investigators descended upon the scene. The Union Station Massacre sent shockwaves throughout the nation, prompting significant reforms in law enforcement tactics and leading to improved security measures still seen today. It also served as a grim reminder of the ruthless nature of organized crime and its willingness to shed innocent blood in the pursuit of ill-gotten gains. 1927, in the heart of Texas, a daring daylight robbery would captivate the nation and etch 2 names into the annals of American crime: Bonnie Parker and Clyde Barrow. The target, the Southwest Loan Association, housed within the First National Bank building in downtown Dallas. Unlike their infamous counterparts, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, who focused on stagecoaches and trains, Bonnie and Clyde set their sights on banks during one of the most prosperous periods in U.S. history, the Roaring Twenties. However, this wasn't just any bank. It was a private lending institution known for holding substantial wealth, making it a prize worth the risk. On December 18, after careful planning and surveillance, Bonnie and Clyde, along with an accomplice named W.D. Jones, entered the Southwest Loan Association under the guise of customers. Armed with revolvers, they took advantage of a momentary lapse in security to seize control of the premises, demanding access to the safe. An hour passed as they filled duffel bags with an estimated $2.3 million by today's standards, stolen from hard-working Texans who had entrusted their savings to the institution. With the loot secured, they fled the scene without firing a single shot, leaving behind stunned employees and customers. This audacious heist marked one of the most successful bank robberies of the era, elevating Bonnie and Clyde to folk hero status among some sectors of the population. Yet, their story serves as a stark reminder of the pervasive criminal underworld that flourished despite the economic boom of the 1920s, exploiting vulnerabilities in security measures and capitalizing on opportunities presented by financial institutions. As we delve deeper into the money trail, we'll uncover more tales of audacious bank robberies, shedding light on the intricate relationship between money, power, and crime in America's hidden financial history. 1930 marked a significant turning point in America's financial history with the Sacco and Vanzetti robberies, where 2 anarchists, Nicola Sacco and Bartolomeo Vanzetti, were convicted of armed robbery and murder in South Braintree, Massachusetts. This case would become one of the most controversial legal proceedings of the 20th century due to questions about whether these men were truly guilty or victims of a biased justice system. On April 15, 1920, during the Great Depression, $16,000 was stolen from the Slater and Morrill Shoe Company payroll. The police arrested Sacco and Vanzetti just months later for their involvement in this brazen robbery turned double homicide. But here's where things get complicated. Sacco, a factory worker, and Vanzetti, a fish vendor, were both Italian immigrants with strong anarchist beliefs. At the time, there was widespread anti-immigrant sentiment and fear of radical politics simmering beneath the surface of American society. Consequently, many people believe that Sacco and Vanzetti didn't receive a fair trial because they weren't part of the mainstream culture. Despite inconsistent ballistic evidence linking Sacco to the murder weapon, both men were found guilty and sentenced to death in 1921. However, their case didn't end there. Over the next 7 years, numerous appeals were filed, attracting international attention and sparking massive protests across the globe demanding a retrial or pardon for Sacco and Vanzetti. In August 1927, after exhausting all legal options, Sacco and Vanzetti were executed in Charlestown State Prison's electric chair. But questions about their guilt remained unanswered, fueling conspiracy theories that they were innocent scapegoats for a crime they didn't commit, possibly framed due to their radical political views and immigrant status. Even today, the Sacco and Vanzetti case serves as a stark reminder of how money, power, and prejudice can intertwine within the justice system, creating an environment where guilt or innocence may hinge more on one's social standing than actual evidence. 1950, Boston. A city still reeling from the notorious Sacco and Vanzetti case, where 2 Italian immigrants were infamously convicted of robbery and murder, amidst accusations of prejudice and manipulated evidence. Yet, as the world turned its gaze away, another group of men, mostly ex-military, began meticulously planning what would become one of the most audacious bank heists in American history, the Great Brinks Robbery. The Brinks Company, a financial powerhouse even then, had built its reputation on providing unparalleled security services and armored car transportation for the Federal Reserve Bank of New York and other major financial institutions. Their state-of-the-art fortress in Boston safeguarded millions of dollars in cash, checks, and securities every night, an irresistible target for those seeking a fortune. Over several years, this motley crew of thieves, led by Anthony Pino, conducted extensive surveillance on the Brinks facility. They studied its layout, security measures, and daily routines down to the smallest detail.